is Mia? Who is Mia as it relates to P Diddy and this case? Well, we're going to try to figure it out together. I am continuing the coverage of the P Diddy case. This is day 12 of the P Diddy case. So today, we are finishing up the cross-examination of Deonte Nash. Then we have the victim, Mia. That's not her real name. She wants to keep, her name secret. And they want to finish up the trial. They want to finish up with her this week. So we're going to see if they're able to finish up this afternoon. So what I'm going to be doing is reading to you from the X account of Inner City Press, where Matthew is in the courtroom. I don't think he's in the actual courtroom with them. I think there's an overflow room where they are, and he's watching it on the screen, and he is typing in real time on Twitter and letting us know what is being said. So in this video, we only so far have the finishing up the cross-examination of Deonte Nash, and then we're gonna have the assistant U.S. attorney question Mia. At the recording of this video, they have just taken a break for lunch, and they're gonna get back to it afterwards. So I might have to do a second video, but this is quite a lot. So get yourself a snack, get yourself a little beverage, and listen as I read along and as to what was said, because the news is going to give you just a summary of it. So we're going to get into detail. So I'm going to be reading to you everything that Matthew is typing on his X account. So starts off with in the morning where it says, before the jury comes in, Alexandra Shapiro, who's Combs' attorney, says the articles in the scrapbook are not being offered for the truth. I'm not sure exactly what that is. The USA says the article say that Combs wanted to get to the bottom of Biggie's murder, but the feds are investigating us. They've been trying to get this in. Okay, and we all been saying we think he has something to do with it allegedly. So I don't know if they're going to get it in here or touch a little bit on it. The judge says if it went back into the jury room as evidence, it could be prejudicial to the prosecution, but to let the jurors look at it as a demonstrative. USA, if they flip it though, okay, if it's passed around, we'd want a limiting instructions. Okay, judge says, who is going to be cross-examining Mia? Alex Shapiro says, Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele says, what if we redact the part about Biggie's unaliving? Judge, it's more than that. You concede these articles are not relevant in this case. It's that the scrapbook was put together. Judge, you've been given some leeway. I'll leave you to it. Steele, I don't want to waive the issue. Thank you. Judge, the social media post, there's an objection. I overrule it. The text messages, my sense is there are parts in the threads that are hearsay. USA, they are trying to show that the defendant was going through, quote unquote, some heavy-ish. And that's why he was acting this way. Judge, what about her smelling her own armpit? I'm like, what? USA, I don't know. I don't think that's relevant. Judge, okay, 401. Okay, now USA says, at 8:55 a.m., the defense sent me a slew of messages about Deonte Nash. They should be excluded. Judge, Mr. Donaldson, what are these? Combs Donaldson lawyer says, we want 2 photos in. The rest are for impeachment. USA says, I was told of the photos last night. That's fine. Judge, bring Mr. Nash and then our jury. USA says, we've rebooked this witness flight for 2 p.m. We are hoping he will be off the stand in time to make that flight. Because they were supposed to finish questioning Deonte Nash yesterday. He had a flight last night to go back to California. They didn't finish. They even extended court yesterday in order to finish the cross-examination, but they didn't finish. So they asked him if he could stay for the morning and have him on a 2 p.m. flight back to California. And we are at the part where now we're just starting court at 8:55 or 9 a.m. And they're going to try their best to get him out to get to the flight. So let's see if it works. All right. All rise. Donaldson, how are you? Deonte Nash, blessed. The same thing he said yesterday. Donaldson, DX1806, text from you. Donaldson says, what was Capricorn Clark's role in 2011 pertaining to the mixtape? Nash says she was gone. What did she work on when she was there? Nash says, maybe the photo shoot you guys showed yesterday. I learned a lot from Capricorn Clark, actually. Oh, that's nice of him to say that. He gave her a compliment. Donaldson, Diddy's lawyer, says, do you recall the picture of Cassie and the green hair? Nash says, that was a group idea. I walked the red carpet with Cassie in New York at the VMAs. It was a curated look. Donaldson, did you have to get approval? Yes, from Puff. Donaldson, you say Mr. Combs was kicking Cassie on the ground. The unfortunate eye gash incident, correct? Nash, yes. You didn't tell the prosecutors she was kicked while bleeding? Nash says they didn't ask. I only answered what they asked. Donaldson, you know Cassie was in a relationship with Kid Cudi while she was in a relationship with Mr. Combs? Nash, oh, okay. Donaldson, you didn't know? I thought she and Puff had broken up. Donaldson, Cassie was in South Africa. You were at the Revolt conference in Miami, correct? Nash says, yes, I was there to style Little Kim. So you, Nash, yes, I put her together with Michael B. Jordan. I mean, he fine. She fine. Why not? The judge says, hold on. I think Nash is the comic relief in this whole case. I don't think anybody's going to be funny like him. Even though this is a really serious case. This is not fun. This is not a joke material. Okay, continuing. Combs Donaldson says, so Gina was in Miami too? I don't know. Who's Gina? Nash said, no. You don't put that on me. They kept me away from seeing Gina. Donaldson, Cassie got upset. Nash said, she said, why does he keep humiliating me and my career? Donaldson, was she upset? Not really. So, Donaldson continues with, you set her up with Michael B. Jordan? Nash says, yes. And Mia drove it home, making sure she had his number. So, Deonte Nash and this person who's calling themselves Mia was trying to get Cassie set up with the actor Michael B. Jordan to get her away from Puff. Okay, so Donaldson continues to cross-examine. He says, so a bad boy employee set her up with Michael B. Jordan. Nash said, that's Michael B. Jordan. You don't mess that up. Oh my gosh. Donaldson continues, do you know Andre Branch? Nash says no. Donaldson, you were aware Cassie was in a relationship with Andre Branch? Nash said, oh, the cute football player? Yes, but I never met him. Donald said, and in 2016 with Brandon of the NFL, NBA, sorry. Okay, so Cassie was really trying to get away from Puff. She was trying to associate herself with some big time people, and he would not let her go. I'm counting, this is like Kid Cudi. There was somebody else before Puff. Then Andre Branch, and then 2 other athletes. Wow. Okay, let's continue. Donaldson says, in these texts, you talk with Cassie about Michael B. Jordan. You say, no one better say ish to me. L-Y. What is L-Y? Nash says, love you. Or maybe it's a typo. L-Y, know everything. I don't remember. I'm sure you were being antagonized by your client. Combs, Donaldson, Cassie was upset by Gina. Nash, she'd say, girl, let's go out and do our thing. Donaldson, do what she want to do? Nash says, actually, we are both pretty chill. We stayed in the house a lot, but that would be fair. Combs, Donaldson says, let's read these messages. You do the blue? Nash says, oh, you got some names in there? Donaldson said, just go ahead. Nash, where are you going with this? Donaldson as Cassie, secret trip out of town. Nash replies, girl. So apparently the cross-examining, the defense was reading some text messages between Cassie and Nash. So that's what that was. So continuing, Nash says, good friends don't pry. That's not my method. I just replied, girl. Donaldson, highlight the green part. Cassie is telling you October 30th, 2013, after the incident with the cut on the face, she said, I've already been turning up too much. Combs, Donaldson, you say you saw her with a black eye on FaceTime around the time of the Intercontinental. Nash said, I saw it in person. When her makeup would wear off, you could see it. If judge intervenes, let Mr. Donaldson ask the question. Donaldson continues, you read these after Cassie says the N is wasted? We both did the same. Nash says, is there a lot of people there? Oh, it's talking about a Gwen Stefani song. Donaldson said, take your broke ass home and ride into the sunset. Nash says, and we did. Combs, Donaldson, did she mention to you about having threesomes with other men? Nash said, ugh, no, she didn't tell me. Donaldson says, Mr. Nash, read that to yourself, then lift your head up. On May 10, 2025, you told the government the videos came from her phone. Nash says, no, I told them that he would tape her on her phone. Donaldson says, isn't it true she said videos were from her phone? Nash said he would record her on her phone. I stand firm on that. Donaldson said, you say Mr. Combs said, you won't do this one thing for me? And Nash says, yes. I'm not exactly sure what that they're talking about. Donaldson said you saw Mr. Combs pointing in Cassie's face in the Blind Dragon, right? But you never told the government, right? The first you said is at trial. Nash says, I guess so. I gave them very little by phone. She said she didn't want to go. Donaldson says, you helped pick her clothes for court. Nash said she couldn't fit anything. She needed clothes. Donaldson, for the pregnancy? Nash says, right. Donaldson, on that Friday after she finished, she called you and said, I'm done. Nash says it wasn't like that. Donaldson, did you get Cassie super high? Nash, what? No, I did not. Judge intervenes. Mr. Nash, Don, I guess he was getting, defensive as he should. Don't be trying to muddy somebody's name like that. So the judge had to talk to him. Donaldson continued, this 29th birthday, you say she packed sex toys in her duffel bag from her bedroom, right? Nash says correct. Donaldson, Mr. Combs didn't say to Cassie, grab the sex toys. Nash says they were going. Mr. Donaldson intervenes, says, on the golf cart, let's talk about Las Vegas, New Year's 2016-17. You said you were told Cassie was sleeping all day. Correct. Donaldson put up a photo and says, for the parties only. What is this? Cassie. Donaldson says, the low budget producer you mentioned was there. Yes, right next to me, snoring. Donaldson, you say Cassie told you another man was coming over and asked you to leave. Both of us. Donaldson, your reaction was size. Yes. Donaldson, you say you saw a man walking around knocking on the door and they let him in. Yes. They were not drugs, right? There were not drugs, right? We were doing them in our separate places. Once I start working, I just start going. I was packing my 10 body bags. Donaldson, then they went to a hotel, and again, she didn't tell you she didn't want to go, correct? Nash, actually, she said she wanted to stay home, work on her music. Donaldson, read the green. Nash, enjoy y'all time together. Y'all don't get much of this. So I guess he sent Cassie a text about her and Diddy. Donaldson, that's you telling Cassie in January 2017 to enjoy her time with Puff, correct? Nash says yes. Donaldson, Cassie wrote, I spoke up for myself, and you wrote you wish you were with them on vacation. Nash says no, I meant in Mexico, not with them. Donaldson says Cassie wrote the next room is on the beach. This one on the golf course. I have everything organized. Nash, I wrote, LOL, do you all have a lot of ish? Donaldson as Cassie, yes, but we made it all fit. Nash, girl, you always on vacation. Combs Donaldson cross-examines. You stayed in touch with Mr. Combs? Nash says, yeah, because he was cutting up. Donaldson said, oh, I get it. You did a seafood thing with Cassie? Nash says, correct. Exhibit 1814. You know Kim Porter who tragically passed? Nash says yes. Combs Donaldson asks, you knew Andre Harrell passed? Nash says yes. Donaldson, you texted Mr. Combs to make sure he's okay? Nash says correct. Mr. Donaldson, Mr. Combs wrote to you, the trainer. You couldn't give me a heads up? Black heart emoji. How is she? He meant Cassie. And Nash says yes. Combs Donaldson in 2020. You wrote Mr. Combs, I love you. Anything you need, I got you. Nash says yes. Donaldson, Mr. Combs won an award that year and you congratulated him. Nash says, I don't think so. I asked how to RSVP to his party for someone else. Claire Sulmers. So I think the defense was trying to paint Deonte Nash out to be like a groupie or somebody who wanted to be around Puffy and Cassie all the time from their line of questioning. I don't know if it's gonna hurt him because you have the defense asking about all these people who mysteriously died, that surrounded Puff Diddy, who mysteriously died. I don't know if that's gonna help because I don't think most of the jury knew about this, so now they're going to be questioning who are all these people around this man who died. So I don't know if that was a good move for the defense, but we'll see as we go ahead. So we're almost finishing up with Nash, and he's being cross-examined by the defense. So Donaldson says, Cassie told you about a secret trip. Assistant U.S. Attorney, I object. Judge says, sustained. Donaldson, you deeply care for Cassie for 15 years? Nash says, yes. Donaldson, she kept secrets from you? Nash says, and I do from her. We don't have to tell each other everything. Donaldson says, nothing further. Judge says, redirect. AUSA says, were you afraid for her? Nash says, things could get very violent fast. USA, what devices did Mr. Combs use to film her? Nash says, hers. USA, you said they appeared high at the 29th birthday party. Nash says, yes. Was Mr. Combs in control of his actions? Nash says, yes. And what did you say? Nash says, you're going to get some tonight. USA, did she want to go? Nash says, no. USA, no further questions. Donaldson says, nothing from me. Judge says, Mr. Nash, you are excused. So that is it for Mr. Nash. He is done. So he was able to make his fight, hopefully. And now we are going to bring in the next witness. Judge says the next witness will use a pseudonym. There is to be no recording. Witness comes in. USA says, how do you wish to be identified? Mia says Mia, and she spells her name M-I-A. USA says, don't show this exhibit. What is it? Mia says, my passport. US says, show it for the jury only. Brian Steele from Combs from the defense says, I would like to see it too. USA says, where are you from? Mia, Virginia Beach, Virginia. US, who is this? Mia, Sean Combs. US, what did you call him? Mia, Puff. I work for him as a personal assistant. So we're finding who Mia is question by question. We still don't know what she looks like, but if our internet sleuths do their work, we will know who she is by the end of the day. Continuing, Mia, she said, I work for him as a personal assistant, then as director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films. US, how was it working there? Mia, Puff's mood changed all the time. That is what everybody is saying. US, was he violent to you? Mia, yes. He's thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall, into a pool, ice bucket and my head, slammed my arms into a door, and he SA'd me. US, SA, you more than once? Mia, more than once. US, did you want to be in the arts? Mia, yes. This was before social media. I thought if I put my mattress on my car and drove to New York, I could do it. I went to work for Georgina Chapman, red carpet dressing. US, and then Mia, I worked for assistant to Mike Myers. US, how did Mr. Combs hire you? Mia, I met with a recruiter. I met with HR and Tony Baez Fletcher. US, did Mr. Combs interview you? Mia, he did at his apartment. He was on the phone wearing his underwear. The HR lady left. US, did he put on clothes? Mia, yes. US, did you get the job? Mia, yes, I was excited. US, how much did you expect to work? Mia, a lot, but I didn't fully understand. US, How much were you paid? Mia, $50,000. What did you do on your first day? HR told me I was on trial for 2 weeks. Where did you start? His Alpine, New Jersey. Where did you start? His Alpine, New Jersey house. I was there all day. Then where? Back to the office for a few more hours. Then I was told Puff wanted me to come to the studio. How long were you there? Until 1 p.m. the next day. Then where did you go? Puff's apartment, then home. How fast did you have to return? I didn't take a nap. I didn't want to risk it. How much did you sleep during the first 24 hours on the job? I didn't. I took it as a challenge. There had been a TV show a few years before called I Want to Work for Diddy. It was like that. How did you deal with the lack of sleep? When I was young, I'd tell myself, you can sleep at 3 p.m. Then the defense, objection, judge, overruled. So U.S. continues with their questioning. How long did you stay up once? 5 days. I take Adderall extended release. I could quasi-function and stay awake. When did you go to sleep? My hearing went and my equilibrium was off. Blurred vision. Lights that weren't there. I cried. Oh my gosh. Were you then told you could sleep? Yes. By whom? Puff. Why did you stay awake that long? I was working. U.S. says, I'm introducing exhibits. Then in the city press, write long process. Then, okay. We are back to, these exhibits are under seal. Combs of defense says, we renew our objection. Judge says, admitted under seal. U.S. says, Mia, what is this? Mia says, a list of my responsibilities I sent to Tony Baez Fletcher on November 10, 2011. Puff has said, I don't know what you do all day. Oh my God. U.S. says, let's focus on a few things in this document. Please read this, Mia. Mia said, all of Puff Daddy's social media presence. She said, all of PD social media present. Who is PD? Mia says, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy. I wrote, main liaison between PD and Hollywood. Did you do that? Yes, via a BlackBerry phone 24/7. Mia, I wrote, anticipate his moods. Why was that important? It dictated the day. You wrote, every day is different. And that he could ask you to crack his knuckles or do his taxes. Did you have an apartment? Yes, in New York City. Were you there much? No, my roommates joked they lived with a ghost. In LA, where did you stay? In the staff house, then in Puff's house at 9933 Beverly Grove, then 9374 Beverly Crest Drive, then 200 South Mapleton. And in Miami, 2 Star. I think that's Star Island. Could you leave? Only with Puff's permission. Once I left at 2 a.m. after he was asleep, I got in big trouble. What happened? Security called me to say he was sending them to find me. I was at the first LA house in 2009 or 2010. Were you allowed to lock your bedroom door? No. He said, it's my house. No one locks my doors in my house. So it wasn't really my room. But did security get to lock their doors? Yes. One had a deadbolt, another a keypad. I was told they were actively hiring other assistants. How long to Malcolm, the assistant who was there when you started, stay? Mia said 7 or 8 months. Were you the only one then? Yeah, for like a year. How did you feel? I didn't have time to feel. It was insane. Puff gave me a pep talk like we were a team. He said I need a second brain. Did he hire more? Yes, eventually. But I felt like I was responsible. You got punished? Yes, in various ways. Getting cursed out, my intelligence insulted, and my job threatened. Who did those things? Puff. USA says, who is this? Mia. George Kaplan. He was another personal assistant for Puff after me. US says, what was Revolt Films? Mia. Puff and I started it together. Were you still performing personal assistant duties? Yes. How much did you get paid? $70,000 to $100,000. Were you supposed to? There was supposed to be bonuses. Did you get them? No. Judge says, let's break. They're taking a break. Now they're back. US submits a photo. Who is this? Mia says, Cassie Ventura. How did you know her? Working for Puff. We became close friends. Are you still friends today? Yes. How was their relationship? Highs and lows, unequal. Was there violence in the relationship? Yes. We'll get back to that. What was Mr. Combs' role with respect to her career? He decided on everything. Shows the look. Another photo submitted. What is this? A mail from Cassie to Puff and others, including me. When did she send it? It was 4 a.m. It says 7 a.m., but we were in California. It was one of their hotel nights. What did she write? She was canceling, apologizing to Interscope and others. Did Mr. Combs respond? Please read. Mia says, Cassie wrote about telling Slevin Hill. What did she mean, do you think? Stephen Hill, not Slevin Hill. Stephen is a typo. Stephen Hill of BET. Cass wrote, no support, no show. US says, why did you forward this to Tony Fletcher? I had to keep her informed. She was in charge of booking hotels. Did you ever see Mr. Combs on a movie set? Yes. Everyone would be very nervous. He would insert himself. What was his role with respect to Cassie's appearance? He was in charge of it. Did you have exposure to Cassie's finances? Yes. How? I learned the company paid her credit cards and that the places where she lived were under his company names and her cars. Did he take things away? Yes. Cars and jewelry and support. If he couldn't get her on the phone, he would take things away. He'd keep tabs on her through me. What is part of your job to spend? What was it part of your job to spend this time with Cassie? Yes. I had to do whatever Puff told me to do. Could you go where you wanted? No. We had to be where Puff told us we could be. With me reading and him typing so far, there's some typos, so that's why you see I'm reading over some of the questions and responses, because it doesn't make sense and I am reading this in real time. Okay, continuing. US says, and if not, Mia says something very scary. The punishment was unpredictable but terrifying. US says, we'll talk some more about that as we get through your testimony. How would Mr. Combs communicate with Miss Ventura? Mia, sometimes through me. Did you see violence, and if so, what kind? Mia said, I saw a lot of aftermaths and injuries she had. I've seen him attack her and throw her to the ground. I've seen him like crack her head open. I've seen him chase her, things like that. Did she fight back? No. And I bet if she did, P Diddy might have, stopped being so that way towards her. But then somebody say he might have unalived her and found a way to make it look like an accident or he had nothing to do with it. All right, let's continue to read. US says, what did you hear and see? Mia, suitcases been thrown into the foyer. Did you see Cassie after that? She was outside crying in a bush. She looked terrified. She gestured, I'm hiding. I'm not here. What did you do? I retreated. Did you tell anyone? I think the chef was in the kitchen. The sentiment was like Combs' attorney, objection. Judge says, sustained. US says, what did the chef say to you? Objection. There's an objection for the truth. Judge says, sustained. Okay, US continued to try and get her. I guess they gave up on that line of questioning. What happened in Cassie's apartment? We were there, me, Cass, and Deonte Nash. Remember, Deonte Nash is just the one who came off the stand before Mia came on. US says, what were you doing? Helping her pack for a big trip to London. Puff came banging on the door, very irate. How did he get in? He got a key from the front desk. US says, what was Mr. Combs asking Cassie? Mia, he said, have you been drinking or something? She hadn't answered his calls. US, what did Mr. Combs do? Mia, he came after me and Deonte screaming. Has she been drinking? He was crazy aggressive. He attacked her. He threw her to the ground. Me and Deonte jumped in and tried to stop it. What did you do? Deonte is very small in comparison to Puff. There was a little tornado going on. He had Deonte in a position where I was scared he was going to unalive him. So I jumped on Puff, but he threw me off against the wall. I felt like it was in slow motion. I realized we were in big danger. He ran into the bedroom and grabbed Cassie. Under her bed, it is this wood bed platform. He slammed her head into the corner. Oh my God. What injuries did Cassie get? Her head was gushing blood. What did Mr. Combs do? He got into protector, survivor mode. He said to call Dr. So-and-so. Tell them Cassie was drunk and hit her head. What did you do? I did what Puff said to do. Mia says his eyes were black. It was like he was looking through me. He was like completely. Judge says, let's get to next question. US says, did you see Mr. Combs take drugs? Mia said, yes. When he was high, how did he appear? Sometimes the life of the party or very hyper. USA says, where was this? Ibiza or Burning Man or music conferences? USA, when he smashed her head, did he seem high? Mia says, no. Did you go to Prince's party? Mia says, yes. What happened the night before? There was a big award ceremony and we had a suite at the Beverly. Mia, he told me to stay with Cassie, that he was going to be at the house with his kids. But then I heard about Prince's party. So what did you do? Mia says, Cassie and I debated like little kids if we should sneak out of the house and go to Prince's party. Prince performed on a little table. Then I saw Puff come in with his bucket hat. We locked eyes. I thought, oh crap, Cassie just booked it, meaning she ran out. US says, where did you go? Mia said, across the street there were woods or bushes, but Puff caught Cassie and had her on the ground. Puff started to attack her, but Prince's security quickly intervened. Ooh, kudos to Prince's security. And USA says, and later, Mia said, I went to another hotel. The next day, HR told me Puff was suspending me without pay. Did she say why? She said that Puff said I was being insubordinate. So I'm assuming that HR is Christina Corian that has been working with Puff for more than a decade. I think that's who she refers to as HR. So then now, after that line of questioning right there, the judge says, let's take a break. This is lunch break now. The jury leaves. The judge is still having a conversation with both sides. He says, Miss Sumner, how much longer with Mia's direct questioning? So this is the prosecution questioning Mia. Miss Sumner says, the rest of the day. We'd like her off the stand by the end of the week. Now, today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. Do they usually have the court on Friday? Well, we're going to see. So, Combs' attorney, Agnafilo, says, this is a problem. First, it was a flight. Now this. So, we're talking about Deonte Nash having, problems with his flight, and now this. They're trying to just object to everything, which is their job. They're supposed to make a fuss about everything. The judge says, I have not cut anything. I think what they're trying to do is saying that they're not getting enough time to cross-examine the witness, so they're putting up a fuss. The judge says, I let Mr. Donaldson take the time we wanted. Agnafilo said, I am not blaming the court. It's a pattern I'm seeing. Judge says it's common courtesy. Agnafilo said, I don't know how long Mr. Steele's cross-examiner will be. They don't need to put these things on record. Judge says, if we can complete this witness this week, fantastic. If things keep moving. District Attorney said, USA says, many of our witnesses are flying from across the country. We need to know for flights next week, Monday. Mr. Nash's cross was twice as long as the direct. That's right, girl. You put up a fight with the prosecution is putting up a fight. They are going at it in the courtroom. So the defense is saying that the direct questioning is taking too long. They're not getting enough time to cross-examine the witness. Therefore, they're not getting to defend their attorney properly. But that is what we have so far. Before they broke for lunch, the jury went to lunch. We have the U.S. attorney direct questioning Mia, that is a pseudonym for one of Diddy's assistant. For the time frame that she gave and from where she come from, I'm sure there's somebody out there who know who she is, and they are going to put a face to the real name of this person. I will continue to cover this case using Inner City Press and Matthew's real-time tweets and give you my opinion as I read and go along. I know this video was a little bit long, but like I said, the news is only giving you a summary of what's going on, and this is word for word as we are in the courtroom via Inner City Press and Matthew. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up this video. Leave a comment if you wish. How do you think the case is going so far? What do you think the outcome will be? Let me know. I want to know your thoughts. Until next time, as I always say, be sure to take care of yourselves and your family. Bye-bye. Tired of the same old styles? Ready to make waves with your wardrobe? Welcome to Touch Me Textures, where bold meets beautiful and every piece is designed to turn heads. Our collections are all about textures that feel as good as they look. From flowy dresses to eye-catching accessories, we've got everything you need to express your style your way. Find pieces that speak to you for every vibe, every adventure. And the best part? Our site makes it easy to shop and easy to fall in love with everything. So why wait? Dive into style that's uniquely yours at touchmetextures.com. Feel fabulous, look unforgettable. Click the link in the description to check out all we have to offer.